Welcome to the Snapscale Show, hosted by Mike Yablonowitz and Nathan Bush. In every episode, we explore the real challenges and breakthroughs happening in modern healthcare operations, from navigating compliance to virtual staffing and emerging technology. You will hear real stories from clinics, learn from healthcare leaders, and uncover practical strategies that help you run a smoother, more efficient practice without losing focus on what matters most: patient care. Snapscale exists to take the pressure off your front office and administration work, so you can get back to doing what you love. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to get the latest episodes, and visit snapscale.com to learn more. Let's simplify healthcare operations together. This is the Snapscale Show.
Hello, my name is Mike Yablonowitz, and I am the CEO of Snapscale. At the end of the day, we can all agree that finding and retaining great people is challenging. It's not that people don't want to work, but the staying power of employees has diminished, and the sense of family within a company isn't what it used to be. Some people argue that it's a generational issue, that younger workers don't have the same work ethic. As a Gen Xer, I remember always coming in early, staying until my boss left, and asking if there was more I could do. In fact, I used to wait till my boss left, probably went around the corner before I even thought about packing up. Today, many job seekers are more focused on benefits, vacation time, and flexibility. On the other hand, companies aren't what they used to be in my parents' generation, where in some cases you'd stay for 40 years, retire with a pension, and maybe even a Rolex. It doesn't matter what is right or what is wrong. The truth is that the landscape has changed, and businesses are struggling to find and retain dedicated and capable people locally. As a result, many business owners are looking elsewhere to fill these critical positions. Luckily, we see many examples that offshore talent, when set up and managed properly, deliver the high-quality, reliable worker and work product that employers seek. Snapscale's ability to provide this level of talent and service is a key reason for our business's success. Hiring great talent is just the beginning, as we all know. True success lies in finding, motivating, training, and effectively managing your team so they grasp the nuances of your business and remain fully engaged. The goal is to create continuity, avoiding the endless cycle of hiring and turnover. By doing so, you can build a team that seamlessly integrates into your company's culture at a fraction of the cost and without the complexities of HR management. That's exactly what Snapscale's managed HIPAA-compliant outsourced staffing service provides. We're leveling the playing field for business owners who need stable, reliable staffing solutions. And because we're fully HIPAA compliant, our healthcare clients and business owners in industries where privacy matters can trust that they're not just solving a staffing problem, but they're gaining a long-term partner that understands the critical nature of complexity and confidentiality. In this webinar, we'll dive into how to hire, train, and most importantly, retain highly effective healthcare virtual assistants who are engaged, motivated, and aligned with your business goals. But this isn't just about outsourcing. We all know the tools and strategies we'll learn today are applicable across a wide range of business environments. So whether you're considering outsourcing some or all of your back office and front office tasks, or simply looking to optimize your internal operations, there's something here for you. And don't worry, this won't be a 45-minute infomercial for my company. But before we dive in, I'd like to introduce you to the host, Nathan Bush. He's a senior vice president of sales and marketing at Snapscale. Nathan has extensive experience working with healthcare organizations, helping them optimize operations while ensuring compliance. He'll be leading today's discussion, guiding us through this topic. In addition, he is the author of the Caesar Method, which is a strategic growth framework designed to help businesses rapidly scale through a 6-step process focused on trust, client acquisition, and long-term success. Nathan, take it away, man.
What's up, Mike? And what's up, everybody online? How are you guys?
Doing
You guys doing good? That's good.
Awesome.
Hey, just so we know from a Snapscale perspective, guys, we love to know how far these webinars are reaching. If you're watching live online, I want you to engage. I want you to participate because I want to know how far this webinar is reaching. Like, wherever you're at, if you're in St. Louis, put St. Louis in the comments. That's where I'm from. If you're from New Jersey like Mike, put New Jersey in the comments. That's where I'm from. I want to know where you're coming from so that we have a better understanding at Snapscale how far this webinar is reaching out all across the United States. I think we had more than 60 people sign up for this webinar. We did a previous webinar, Mike, where there was over 200 people that signed up for that webinar. Yeah. And it's not, people aren't signing up for this stuff just because they're commercials. They're signing up for our webinars because we're providing and we're packing it with real value that helps clinics to be able to grow and scale their organization. Wouldn't you say?
Yes. We have a lot of California people. We got people watching on LinkedIn. We got some Nevada people. It's amazing. It's a testament, Nathan, to what you're putting together, and that is exactly what I wanted these to be, right? They're not sales. They're ways to give more information. And at the end of the day, if you provide proper information and proper, just value, that people find it to be really a great place to work with.
Well, first and foremost, I want to say hi, Ray from Jacksonville. I appreciate you watching online.
You're not saying hi to everybody today, Nathan. Let's keep moving. Come on.
I appreciate it. I mean, I want everybody to know that this is a live webinar. If you're watching right now, it's not pre-recorded. There's a lot of information we're going to unpack with you, and this is live. It's designed to help you. Before I go a little bit further too, how many of you guys have ever been online right now stressed out about your front office staff? I mean, that's what this whole webinar is about this time, is about the front office staff. But how many of you have ever been, honestly stressed out? I remember working in the medical industry. I personally worked for a hearing clinic. We scaled from 7 locations to over 47 locations. I was the vice president of operations in that. And we had front office assistants. And these front office assistants, every once in a while, they wouldn't show up, or they'd call in sick, and I'd have a busy day. Maybe this is you. Maybe you had a no-show employee right before packed appointment day. We used to do things in the hearing industry, Mike, called the open house. And so we'd try to pack in a lot of patients so we could offer hearing services to them, and it'd create a fun environment for people to get their hearing tested, because it's not fun to hear that I have hearing loss, but it is nice if you can get some food and snacks and make it a nice day for everybody. And we used to do that. But then I'd have a front office assistant that didn't show up the day I had a packed open house. I had like 15 to 20 appointments scheduled. In the hearing industry, that's a busy day for us. And the staff member didn't show up. Or how about this? How about guys online? Have you ever felt this? If you felt this, like this on LinkedIn, like it on the platform that you're watching on right now, whether it's Facebook or LinkedIn, or you're watching live on just a regular platform. You ever felt like your front office staff isn't responding well to your practice? They're not representing it well. They're not doing the right things. I one time, Mike, this is no joke. I had a girl come in sweatpants that said juicy across the backside. That's like a real thing that happened. I had to, unfortunately, that person was no longer with my organization after that. but I don't know if you guys ever had that happen in your clinic. I hope you haven't. I hope that atmosphere in your guys' organization, but this was a scrubs-based organization, and so they would come in with scrubs on, but this wasn't scrubs that she was wearing. How about this one? Ever spent weeks hiring and training only to start over and over and over again? You hire that person, you train them, you think they're going to be a rock star, and then they just quit on you. This seems to be the ongoing culture that we're experiencing. Well, I'm going to promise you guys 2 things that are watching this webinar right now. These are my 2 big promises. By the end of this webinar, you'll have a clear, actionable plan to permanently solve your front office challenges without overpaying for mediocre hires, throwing money at temporary fixes, or constantly restarting the hiring process. The other thing I'm going to promise you is that I'll show you how you can take the next steps to implement our proven system effortlessly with Snapscale, so you can focus on running your practice and not after new hires. Okay, I'm going to show you those 2 things by the end of this webinar, and we're going to try to wrap this up within 45 to 50 minutes. So hang in there and participate online. Are you guys coffee or tea people? Honestly, like, I got my iced tea right here in the cup. If you guys are coffee or tea people and that's what keeps you going during the day, put that in the comments right now. coffee or tea. It's going to matter. I promise. I'll come back to that. How much of you are losing time or money when the front office staff quits? And how much are you losing? I want you to think about this for a second, okay? Because I've been through this process working in a clinic. I know specifically there's a number of different places that just leak out money and time and resources. Number one, when somebody quits, I got a phone that's still ringing, and so nobody's answering the phone. Okay, so that's lost revenue. How about this? You have untrained staff. Well, if you have untrained staff, what does that lead to? Bad reviews. I don't want bad Google reviews for any of my clinics. Could you imagine having a couple of bad reviews just because a front office staff member turned over and not having any continuity? How about this? How about constant turnover leads to burnout of other staff members? You ever have staff members trying to cover for other staff members just because one staff member quits, and so now you got to cover 2 different locations worth of stuff, and this can cause frustration with your existing staff? Or how about just this last one, payroll inefficiencies? Mike, one of the biggest challenges that practices don't even know right now that they're experiencing is payroll inefficiencies. And this is the discrepancy between what they have to pay somebody to come work there and what the job is actually worth for that person to be able to do. People are people. They're invaluable. I wish you could pay everybody $1 billion. You just can't. That's not the way the world works. We all have to make a profit if we're in business. And so we have to have payroll that's equal to the job so we can be efficient. Have you had this problem before? I want you to think about that. All right. So I'm going to get into some things you can do about it. And I want you to pay attention to where that revenue can come from and where you can make it back up. But there is forces right now that are reshaping healthcare. If you guys are experiencing this online, which one of these, as we talk about them, I want you to put it in the comments. Which one of these are you dealing with the most? Mike, let's talk a little bit about inflation and operating expenses that practices are experiencing right now. When I was in the hearing industry, we had inflation in all of our supplies that were going up, right? So the little domes you put on the hearing aids, little mechanical pieces that go inside the hearing aids, like the speakers and the batteries, all these things were going up in price. Inflation's a real deal. I just saw in the news something like $12 eggs or something. I guess you gotta be a farmer now.
Yeah, you know, it's funny, Nathan. You would think that, and it is the truth, right? Everything's more expensive. Minimum wages up the wazoo. Can't even fire someone if you want to nowadays. It's very hard. But the real thing that we hear every day from our clients and our prospects is, Mike, like, I have no problem paying. I really don't. If they would just stay for more than 2 weeks. And no, it's a sad state of affairs. I could digress forever on this because I hate having those conversations. It's not as much about money. Yes, you save money when you outsource, all that sort of stuff. A lot of the practices that we talk to and the doctors, they just want the continuity. They want the consistency. They don't care so much about the hourly rate. They just want to know when they go into surgery or they see a patient, right? They come in running for something, that front desk person is there, right? Someone's verifying the benefits. Someone's calling someone's calling, to make sure that people are coming into the doctor's office for their visit and stuff like that. It's awful. So yeah, they save more money. A company like Snapscale or other managed healthcare VA companies will manage the people, and all they have to do is do the patient care, which is what they went to school for anyway. But it's not about that now, Nathan. It's really more about like just keeping somebody that knows what's going on and stopping the endless cycle of hiring and having people disappear for the next gig. So
Yeah.
I didn't directly answer your question, but that's what you're saying is a real thing, but it's really more about the continuity that they care about.
Yeah, for sure. People definitely care about continuity. Here's something I know that you guys care about online, though, because I cared about this tremendously in the hearing industry, was the reduced reimbursements. I don't know if you guys are experiencing this in your practice, in your specific healthcare industry, but if you're in the physical therapy industry, you're in the ophthalmology industry, you're in the audiology industry, you're in the the ocular facial plastic surgery industry, I know you're experiencing reduced reimbursements. Orthodontics, I know these different practices are dealing with reduced reimbursements. What do I mean? Insurance companies are paying you less to do the same thing. So you have to pile in even more patients, and then what happens to patient care because I'm forced to see more patients to make the same amount of money that I used to make? Then what happens to the patient level of service that I'm providing, right? So continuity is one thing, but also just being able to service a patient and have a reasonable amount of time to be able to ask them about their background and see what's going on with them. I mean, just like you guys, I asked you, are you tea or coffee people? I saw, Ray's been very responsive online, and so I just used his. Ray said that he was a coffee person. Okay, that matters to me because if you and I are going to sit down, you're going to come into my practice. I do care, Ray, whether I'm providing you tea or coffee the next time you come back in. Those little things that I do whenever I'm working with people, and I'm sure, Ray, you do the same thing for your patients. Those little things that you do for your patients along the way, they matter. And those are the things that build retention back into your practices. So reduced reimbursements are killing you because you don't have enough time to find out people's preferences. That's just tea or coffee. Now imagine you're talking about actually getting into the hearing aspect of things, looking at their tests, reviewing charts. That matters. Here's another big one. Health insurance shifts. Certain groups are being boxed out. What I mean by this is probably going on in your industry. I don't know if it is, but I can tell you it went on in mine whenever I was dealing with this. Insurance companies owned the manufacturing of the equipment that we were offering to patients. And so what would end up happening is that certain insurance companies would start kicking certain audiologists out of network that weren't offering their specific product or solution. Even if it wasn't the best solution for the patient, they didn't care. They wanted to make sure they were selling their stuff. And so insurance companies, I've noticed, are boxing out certain groups. And maybe this is happening in your industry as well. How about this one, Mike? You talked about this one in your opening statement. So I'm sure that you're passionate about this. The generational shift. The kids just aren't what they used to be. They don't work the same way. What have you noticed? You're on mute there.
Just exact. No, it's just exact. And I don't want to make a total. I'm not saying about the whole generation. I'm not like a curmudgeon, right? I mean, I'm 50. I'm not a million. But in all honesty, like we do definitely see a shift. And when we hire in the U.S., Nathan, you know that when we hire salespeople, it's just a different mentality, right? And I'm not going to go on forever about it, but it's nice that people are okay keeping on moving and trying to find what's best, but we're not seeing the same type of like really wanting to learn about what Snapscale is and how they can best do things. They want to know, what they're going to get paid and what their hours are. And I'm not necessarily saying it's bad. It's just something that's just different, and there's not as much buy-in as there seems that there used to be, to whether it's a clinic or it's to us or to a company. It's just the state of affairs, and history will show us how that really translates. I mean, we're lucky that we have great employees, and I think it's not mainly because they like us, but it's kind of how we compensate. But in reality, it really is hard nowadays, which is, like I said before, it's a testament. I mean, not a testament, excuse me. It's a sad state of affairs that unfortunately we're able to help people manage as best as we can with what we know and how we can do it.
Absolutely. I mean, the generational shift, people today are looking for mission and purpose over even money sometimes. They
100%.
want to know that what they're doing makes a difference in people's life. And so I used to promote in the hearing industry to everybody about how important it was for other people. We couldn't make blind people see. We couldn't raise people from the dead, obviously, in the hearing industry, but we could help them hear better. And if I could get that message across to the staff, I found out that they would work a little harder and a little longer sometimes, knowing that they were making a difference in somebody's life. And so the generational shift is real, and we're dealing with this. We're also dealing with changing values. The dynamics are changing, just the values across different corporations, across people, across generations. And then we also have the dynamic political environment that's changed. No matter which side of the aisle you're on, whether you were, previous administration, current administration, the current political environment is changing. They're forcing changes in the way that we have to do business. And all of these things matter. They all require time, attention, effort, energy. And the last piece of this that we really have to pay attention to, the forces that are reshaping healthcare right now, that every practice must pay attention to. The last one here is technology. I don't know which one of these ones resonate with you guys, where you're feeling the hang up or the most pain, but in the comments, just so that we all can see we're all dealing with this, share which one of these is the most impactful in your practice that you feel. It'll be important for future webinars, because we might do webinars around the specific topic that you guys bring up and how we can deal with those in the medical industry, bring on doctors and clinicians and practice owners to share with you how they're handling and shaping those different things. So go ahead and share in the comments which one of those: inflation, reduced reimbursements, health insurance shifts, generational shifts, changing values, dynamic political environment, or technological innovations that you're dealing with in your practice.
And Nathan, one thing I want to say, I hate to cut you off, but
no, go ahead.
I want to let you know that we're trying to respect people's time. So there are a lot of comments here. So if we don't get to them, everybody, we will respond back in an email specifically to your comments. So if we don't address them, please realize we're doing that. But we appreciate the feedback. We love this. This is what this is all about. Absolutely.
Absolutely. All right. Hiring in healthcare. If this worked, guys, you wouldn't be here. Okay. Number one, better hiring practices. Behavioral based interviewing questions. That was all the rage like 4 years ago, 5 years ago. Tell me about a time when you had to overcome adversity. Tell me about a time where you had to deal with a trust issue. Do you guys remember doing these behavioral based interview questions with people? It was all of the rage. And somehow that doesn't seem to be helping us find better people. I think that's probably the case for your practice as well. How about this? More training. We just got to give our people more training. The reason they're not staying around is we need to give them more training. You can pile in and practice, and you can put in more and more training. One of the things that we used to do in the hearing industry, maybe this is helpful for you, maybe it's not, is that we would record the trainings. And so that way we would have a documented database of all of the trainings, of all of the work that we did. And today with AI, the way that things are working out, what's great about recorded trainings is even if the person's in the same room and you're teaching across the same room, you can transcribe that recording on what the policies and procedures and protocols are. And then at least you have a documented database of what that particular role is trying to do. Even though that has become significantly easier, it's not keeping people around in organizations any longer. How about this? Higher wages. I don't know if you're the same way that I was, but one of the challenges we would do is we would just keep raising the wage until we would find some. It's kind of like the opposite of real estate, right? In real estate, you keep lowering the price till somebody buys. I felt like that we were doing the opposite of this in the healthcare industry. We were just raising the wages of this front office, the back office people, the administrative staff, until somebody would take the job. Is that what you guys feel like you're doing in your organization? I know you can go out and you can do also all of the wage scale research and competitive research. We did all of that too. I don't know if you guys have been through that process where you try to go find out what all the competitors are offering and try to offer just a little bit more so somebody will come work for your organization, or offer a signing bonus to them so that whenever they feel more compelled because you're offering them a $5,000 signing bonus or a $10,000 signing bonus, and this person over here doesn't have one, so they're more likely to apply with you. Look, if this stuff worked, guys, you wouldn't be on this webinar. I promise you that. Because I've been there and done all of these things. I personally used Snapscale services to staff virtual front office people to take inbound phone calls and make outbound phone calls. I'm going to show you some of the tools that I got ROI behind with those staff members to be able to do this with. But it wasn't just business continuity from a standpoint of filling a secondary or backup role. I actually utilized strategically, and I'm going to show you some ways to do that, adding additional staff members this way. Internal career days. You guys maybe have tried this: career days, job fairs, onboarding groups, right? we do group interviews. Have you done that? Try to coordinate 6 people's schedules, trying to find the right fit for somebody. Okay, you guys get the point. Personality profiling on your hiring. You invest in culture like soft skills training and additional marketing to find the right people. Look, there's an easier, more affordable solution, and it's called a HIPAA-compliant healthcare virtual assistant. Okay, not as a commercial, but please understand what this does and what it means to your practice. Get past the fact that we offer this as a service. I want you just to get your mind around the concept. A HIPAA-compliant healthcare virtual assistant helps drive profitability while improving patient care. Okay, I'm going to show you how to do that. Number two, there's no risk to privacy or data security. In fact, it's 100% HIPAA compliant. And I'm going to show you that not from our words, but from a third party today, okay, that did the digital audit and did the HIPAA audit on our organization. Also, better patient experience means more referrals. So if I can show you a way that would significantly help your practice, provide continuity, generate additional ROI, and generated you more referrals because you were able to offer better patient care, would that be beneficial for you? I'm sure the answer to that question is a resounding yes, because that's how I felt about Snapscale. Let me show you what we did. Okay, everybody in their business has a marketing funnel. I don't care if you're a knee surgeon all the way through a plastic surgeon, okay, or your kidney specialist. It really doesn't matter. What the business is still the business. I have an MBA. One of the things we used to do was something called case studies or case work. And so let's look at this as a sample particular case study and just how to get revenue to happen inside your business, okay? So everybody has this thing called a marketing funnel. Don't tune out if you're a doctor and you're looking for clinical stuff. This is very important, okay? It's important to you because there's only so many people you're going to be able to treat. So let's go back. You have leads. Those are potential patients. You have appointments. Those are people that you're having conversations with in your office, you're running tests on. There's people that get tested and don't get tested, or get the assessment or don't take the assessment. And then there's treated patients or not treated patients. This happens in every practice. So leads, appointments, tested, and treated. Let's say that you have 100 potential leads, okay? The average revenue that you generate per treatment is $5,000. Let's say this 100 leads turns into 50 appointments for you. And then 25 of those 50 are actually getting tested because they have additional issues that you actually could treat. And then 10 actually get treated out of those 25. This seems like a normal caseload. At least in the hearing industry, this was pretty close to what would happen. Well, that equals revenue for your practice of around $50,000. What if we got a 20% increase just by hiring a HIPAA compliant virtual assistant to maybe make confirmation phone calls? What would that look like? Well, you would still have the same 100 leads, but instead of those 100 leads resulting in 50 appointments, they result in maybe 60 appointments because we didn't have time to focus on our clinic. We didn't have the manpower to be able to make all of the confirmation calls. So this is just focused on just confirmation calls. Maybe you get 60 appointments with the same amount of percentage of people being tested and the same amount of percentage of people being treated. This means you didn't improve your treatment rate. You didn't improve your test rates. It's exactly the same across the board. Now you have $60,000 in revenue. I just found $10,000 a month in lost revenue inside of your organization through the leaky bucket that's going on right now when you staff with a HIPAA-compliant healthcare virtual assistant who can make those outbound phone calls and do confirmation. Okay, so why does this matter? Well, Peter Drucker, the management guru, says, do what you do best and outsource the rest. Well, 5 years ago in healthcare, you couldn't outsource these calls. There was no HIPAA-compliant healthcare virtual assistants that you could find and hire and bring on board inside of your organization. There's nobody signing a BAA with you that had staff members that were 1/3 of the cost that you're paying for the same type of tasks to be done right now inside of your organization. And so that's when Mike, so amazingly did put together about 5 years ago this whole concept of HIPAA compliant healthcare virtual assistants and started working towards the outcome. Well, along the way, practices were making mistakes. And so Mike came up with these 7 mistakes to avoid when outsourcing, and he wrote them into a document. We have the document available for people if you want to read it, but we're going to go through some of those today. Now, I don't have time to go through all 7, but outsourcing your core competencies, outsourcing your problems, failing to identify the goals of the BPO or the business process outsourcing relationship, failing to properly vet the business processing outsourcer provider, all right, operating too fast, failing to educate your staff, and lastly, partnering with a provider that does not value its employees. We're going to talk about two of these today. I'm going to let Mike share because he did a fantastic job putting this program, this entire document together for you, for your benefit. It's online. It's on our website right now. If you guys wanted to go get that document, you can download it right off our website. Mistake number one, though, Mike, is outsourcing your core competency. What did you mean when you wrote about outsourcing your core competency?
I meant that you just can't outsource, what makes your business special. This resonates along all industries. For e-commerce companies, it's about you don't outsource your key marketing messaging that only one person knows how to do. For a sales organization, you don't outsource your sales, right? In the medical practice, it's funny that I'm going to say this you're not going to outsource like the surgery or the practice, but you don't really outsource the people around in your practice that make it great. So what I mean by that is that, remember, outsourcing is really about augmentation in my mind still, even though we get more of the, I can't find anybody to come, really it's about helping the people in the practice that have been there, right? A lot of times, Nathan, we get a doctor who comes to us saying, we can't, I've had my, front desk person for 10 years, but it's been a revolving door, finding the next person, the next person, the next person. What we do is we say, okay, doc, and we become the best friend of that person that's been there for 10 years, because that person has the golden keys to what makes the practice special. And then we just build a team around them, to what makes it perfect. Because remember also, it's not really just about giving the resources, so to speak, and the outsourced talent, right? The big part of what makes this work is the political component. That's the wrong way to say it, but it's being one with the practice, right? And that's when we meet that person that's been there for 10 years. We become ingrained in the culture. They know that we're there as a partner, right? And not just like people to stick in and disappear. And that is what I mean by the core competency. Like, just because you have someone that can run through verification of benefits in a moment's time, that's a great tool for that front desk person who's been there forever. But the front desk person knows what you, the doctor, likes and knows what makes the practice, tick the right way. So in this case, that's what we do a lot of, is we really work to help out that key person or people in that practice that's drowning from all the other work that they just can't get through to. Like, the big thing is like, if I could just get someone to verify benefits for the person at the front desk, you'd be saving my life. And we do just that as a managed service provider, right? And as any other managed service provider, not just Snapscale, it's our job also to then see what are the other things that we can do to help those people in the clinic. So that's really outsourcing the core competency. You never want to outsource something that makes you special. You want to build around it. Does that make any sense?
I had a clinic just this past week said, well, I can't get rid of Betty. She's been with me and she helps all of the patients take my treatment. She does a great job with having that conversation. And I explained to him, just like you did. Yeah. I said, don't outsource your core competency. It's not that you want to get rid of Betty. It's that Betty wants to be able to focus even more time on the new patients that you have coming in so that we can make the outbound confirmation phone calls for Betty. And she doesn't have to do that part of her job anymore. And then you can get even higher conversion. And that's just around confirmation calls, because I was talking about it earlier. There's a number of different tasks that clinics can outsource in all different areas in order to be able to get an ROI behind hiring a outsourced HIPAA-compliant virtual assistant. You can have appointment scheduling. You can do reminders. You can do insurance verifications of benefits like Mike was talking about. Submitting authorized requests, inbound and outbound appointment setting off of new patient that comes in, inbound triage and patient intake that you can do over the phone prior to the patient coming in, so that when they come in, you already have all the documentation that you need. Assist with e-fax, pre-authorization. I could go through all kinds of these tasks, guys. These are just a front office task. There's a list of back office tasks on the screen that a virtual HIPAA-compliant healthcare virtual assistant could do. We don't have time to go through each one and every one of these and show you how to get on. That's what an individual conversation is for, is allowing us to help you identify those areas in your practice that you need the most help. and then being able to offer you the additional benefit of having somebody work with you to set that up for you. In fact, the way that we work with you, okay, a lot of people are thinking probably right now, well, how do you guys work? I know, because I've done a lot of these webinars with Snapscale, and so I wanted to make sure that I took time and explained exactly what Snapscale does in this webinar if you're interested in this. Number one, they find the staff member for you. These are people either in Davao or Cebu in the Philippines, and we provide you a resume, a recorded interview, and we send that to you for your review, for you to hand select the actual person that you're going to be working with that you want, meet and greet with that person. Number two is once you've selected them, we have a team that works to support them. So people that are already using your EMR system, people that are already working in other clinics that know how to answer phones or make confirmation calls, those people are already there to work and support with them. Also making sure that they clock in and clock out. We document their hours so you don't pay any more than the amount of time that's committed to for that person to be working. We utilize what's called an augmented leadership model, which means that yes, it's business process outsourcing. However, you can work and coach your person independently if that's your preference. If you have leadership skills and you need to be able to offer feedback or suggestions, or you want to make changes to a process or whatever, it's not like you have to send it through a manager or a leader or somebody else to communicate that change to them. You hop on a call just like this. You hop on a Teams call, you hop on a HIPAA compliant call, and you have that conversation with them. And then you can make the adjustments right then and there. If they've done something incorrectly, you can offer feedback and correction. Let's face it, we're all humans. There's not robots working on the other side of this. These are human beings who are making these phone calls. Now, does that not mean that we can't use AI or we can't use technology to our advantage? We'll talk a little bit about that. But it's important to understand you're working with humans that can do and help support your current staff. It's as though they're working in your office or an extension from your office. And then lastly, we provide you with a daily report. That daily report tells you the tasks, the things that they were working on, how many of them got done, how many calls got made, how many confirmations got done. And you can see that data daily to know the performance so that you can help set goals and pay attention to trends and understand what you need to do for your business in order to continue to scale. That's why Snapscale has been so effective for literally hundreds of clinics across the United States. So when we provide you that recorded interview, what's really, really cool is it looks just like this. They got each one of the questions that were asked of that person, and then they'll give you an answer. You'll be able to hear them, see them. And then once you select your person, you'll be able to meet and greet with that person as well. So have an individual conversation with the actual person that you selected from the recorded interviews. And if you're wondering what that data dashboard looks like, here's one that we were able to do for Impact PT, just for simplification purposes. And it's not just you. Remember, you have the team member that works on your team. You have our data team and the team support staff that's there to support your team member in making sure that they're doing the things that you need done on your campaign. So we monitor and during the operations, the stats that are going on in the performance of those team members. So you're monitoring it, we're monitoring it, and that way we can come to some consensus on performance. Okay, so that's how it works. Now, Mike, there's a challenge in the industry right now with virtual assistants, and that challenge is that you work with an organization, but then that organization hands you off either to another organization that it's actually owned and operated in the Philippines or in India, or they're really just outsourced. They're really just salespeople who are selling for other Filipino companies or Indian-based companies. And so you got to be careful about this. We actually have offices in the Philippines that are our offices and in India, correct?
Yep.
Talk a little bit about your offices that are in the Philippines and also in India to help everybody kind of understand this beware of kind of thing that's out there.
Yeah, I won't speak for other companies, but I will say that the only way I felt comfortable for rolling this out to the doctors and the clinics is when I had as much control that I thought was reasonably possible. Before I could even offer these services, right, we had to be compliant and we had to be HIPAA compliant. And I did get a third-party company to help us out, and they do audit us now on a semi-regular basis, what's reasonable, and keep me up to date with the trends and all that sort of stuff related to HIPAA compliance. Nathan, you remember last week we did something on HIPAA compliance updates along with the whole Cures Act and how it's going to affect practices. Like, in order for me to be the right partner to these doctors and clinics, I need to keep abreast of what's going on and share that information with our clients, which we do on a fairly regular basis when appropriate. If I didn't own and operate these centers, I wouldn't feel confident to offer this service. Because remember, the minute you're brokering something, you don't have as much control as you possibly can. So since they're mine and I know what's going on and I pay the bills directly and they're my people and I have cameras and I am, I'm not, unfortunately, I like it, I am there on a semi-regular basis. I feel like it's appropriate and I can offer the services that we do, and I'm doing the right thing by the doctors and we're compliant. So yes, we have 2 offices in the Philippines. We have one in, actually both of our offices in Davao on both sides, and we have a small office in Cebu, but a majority of our work is out of Davao province, which is actually a major city, where we chose that because, again, it's a city, right? If you ever worked in the Philippines with staff and they're always dropping their calls or whatever, most likely they're out in the provinces of like Iloilo, where they're by the water and they get hit with the tropical and the typhoons. We don't have that, which is great. And the political climate there is actually excellent, except for right now there's a little bit with the president, but I digress. But overall, like, it is a great place. And aside from the fact that we have our own centers, right, that we keep and we keep up with multiple internet services and generators for electricity and what have you, I couldn't do this, like I said before, if I didn't have that type of control.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, here's the other thing. We're a US-based company, guys. We don't want to be participating in any parts of these
Correct.
fines
Yeah.
that could go on with HIPAA compliance is all. Also, second, beware, if they're not a US-based company, they're not under the federal regulations for HIPAA, and therefore they're not participating in, even if they do sign a BAA with you, because the US government can't go and regulate in a foreign country. Okay. So you got to be careful on who you do business with and why you do business with them. I do want to take a second, though. This is extremely important. So we just finished up, like Mike was saying, with our HIPAA compliance audit. And this isn't what we said. This is our auditor. And this is what he had to say about Snapscale's HIPAA compliance. Just take a second.
I said no infomercials, but I guess this is legitimate. Okay, let's go.
But this is digital compliance, HIPAA-training.com. This is what they said about our HIPAA compliance and their audit.
Mike is an interesting example. Mr. Yablonowitz and Snapscale, previously Brobisco or BBC Global. We don't know, HIPAA training doesn't do webinars. We don't partner with clients and help them market. My purpose of being here is not for marketing. I'm not interested in generating sales from web contacts. What I am interested in is taking information that shows up regularly and becomes problematic regularly for our clients, so that you're conversant and know how to ask questions and know what the answer should sound like. Mike is an obsessive when it comes to compliance. The way he approached compliance when he became our customer 3 years ago was, yeah, but how do we do better? But I know what the minimums are, but I've got some clients that are concerned about VAs, and what do we do to bolster, Matt, honestly, how do we show up as the best in the market? And it was a year, maybe a year and a half working together on a system that didn't exist. It doesn't exist anywhere. I can tell you, we have dozens of virtual assistant platforms that work through HIPAA-training.com, and there are probably 100 more that work through other of our peers in the industry. And the reason Snapscale is the only organization that we will do this with is because they exceeded the minimum standards. Then they exceeded what were considered exceptional standards. And then they started creating their own standards that are so far and above, they're so beyond the pale that it's going to generate a new standard in what is considered remote virtual healthcare.
All right, so you guys get the point. For whatever reason, whenever I click the next slide behind the scenes, it restarted the video again partially through, but I apologize for that. But basically what Matt Arjani of HIPAA-training.com said about BBC Global's HIPAA compliance was that we are setting a new standard for organizations in the industry of what HIPAA compliance actually is. And so in addition to that, we wanted to be able to provide you guys with some resources that you can utilize right now today that you can go take action on that aren't Snapscale related resources. Number one, you can get the HIPAA compliance guide for outsourcing. That's at hhs.gov. That's HIPAA compliance for business associates, right? So this will help you. This is the United States government telling you how to outsource things properly. About Peter Drucker's insight, we mentioned Peter Drucker earlier. I thought it would be good to give you a Peter Drucker reference on outsourcing and efficiency. So the resource is the Essential Drucker, the best of the 60 years of Peter Drucker's essential writing on management. That's a good recommendation of a book that you guys could go after and read. And then Becker's Healthcare Podcast and Reports on Staffing. That's another opportunity for you to go. That's Becker's Healthcare Podcast and Staffing articles. Okay. So those are 3 different resources that you guys can go check out today that are non-Snapscale related, that will give you different information on outsourcing and give you kind of the standard, the industry standards, the Godfather. So you have the current government standards, the Godfather standards, and then as the standards change in real time, there you guys go. There's outsourcing. Now let's talk about the second mistake, Mike, and this one's got to be real quick because we're at 45 minutes already, and we promised people, 45 to 60 minutes. So let's talk about partnering with a provider that does not value its employees. Okay, so this is mistake number 7 in your seven outsourcing mistakes.
And really quickly, it's not compensating your workers and expecting them to do a great job. Simply put, we go above and beyond to provide our employees, your employees, for lack of a better term, with top-notch pay, benefits such as HMO. I know there's a list. I'm not going to go there. Like HMO, we do a ton of different engagement activities with them. Once a quarter, we do a town hall where we list out all the new people. The whole company comes together and we do a Zoom and we talk about all the new people that are coming. We introduce the new staff members. We talk about any successes and achievements individually with people as well. And which is very important, I spend a good 5 to 10 minutes talking about where we are as a company, simply about what I made a promise to in the beginning of the year and where we are now. So those things are things that a lot of call centers don't do, where we constantly refer to our people, right? Like client service people, because they are client service. They provide client service. They're not telemarketers. So that constant conversation, these people feel like which they are, that there's something special. They're the talent. So we don't have a high churn based on the conversation, the pay, the benefits, and the, for lack of a better term, transparency that we have with the town hall. Even that we always do different types of incentives too. So even this year we have incentives for the year. So if we all hit a certain goal within the year, there's an additional kicker that everybody gets. Now this goal is something that everybody can hit, whether you're a salesperson, down to a client success person. Everybody can share in the success. So it's the combination of paying, incentivizing, providing culture, and also having them buy into our mission that is really what you need to do. If you do that, I don't care whether or not you're in Bangladesh, you're in the Philippines, or you're in St. Louis, Missouri, you will get, an employee for a long time. Now, granted, overseas, there's still an overwhelming desire, right, to stay with a company for a longer period of time than maybe is in the U.S., but I see a lot, Nathan, we see a lot of regular U.S. companies that don't value their employees and they don't provide them with the benefits that they should. They just kind of forget about them as just, front desk people or something. You can't do that. If you do that, why would you expect them to stick around? Because you wouldn't want to be treated like that. So we treat our people overseas the same way that we would expect to be treated in the U.S. And because of that, they don't go anywhere, because why would they?
Yeah. I mean, leadership that's not rooted in your company's core values is really just you spreading rot.
Correct.
That's how I feel about it. And I know you do too, Mike. And that's why we have a set of core values that are so important. And they're central to our organization. If these core values resonate with you and they mean something to you, then maybe we'd be a good organization to have a conversation with. Look, we take 100% ownership for your campaign, right? That's number 1. Number 2, dependability. Number 3, communication. So not only are we dependable, not only do we take 100% responsibility, but we think communication is very important. Number 4, you got to have the skills, right? Now, plug those 4 core values, because, I can only count so high, so we can only do 4. But plug those 4 core values into your organization's core values, whatever you got, 3, 4, 5, 10 core values. But you set those alongside your company's core values. And what would that mean to your team members? To have people who support them, who take 100% responsibility, who are dependable, who communicate well, and who have the skills that your company is looking for. I think for me, that's why we decided back in the day to go with Snapscale, but you got to make that decision for yourself. Do these core values resonate with you, and are they important to you? And then we value our team members by making sure they get performance reviews. Clients, feedback, and attendance, those are important. How they fit into the corporate culture, that's important. Team performance, on how they're performing with their team members, that's all important as part of their annual performance review. And then, like Mike said, we provide them a slew of benefits. I don't need to go into all the benefits on this webinar. We've done plenty of other webinars where we go over all these benefits. You guys can go back and watch the other webinars, but they're there. And then the bonuses and the incentives that Mike was talking about that we add in addition to the culture and the core values. Now we add in awards and recognition to that when they're performing and outperforming your metrics and standards that you set on your campaign. We can offer awards like we did here to the wonderful lady in India and the wonderful, amazing person, man in the Philippines here. Incredible work that these team members are able to do for your organization above and beyond, and then they get rewarded in addition to that. And then we have the High Performance Club, where people who are exceeding in the top 10% of the organization, they get recognized and rewarded. Guys, it is a culture. That's what Mike was talking about. It is a culture that is built around success. And so we value your people. We value your people at Snapscale. All right, there's some additional resources. If this culture thing is important to you and you'd like to be able to do this, we do have some branded Snapscale resources for you as well. Number 1, the Med2 method. This is your guide to onboarding and training your new virtual assistant. Okay, so whether you use Snapscale or anybody else, this Med2 method guide will be beneficial for you. That's on the website. How about our Snapscale YouTube page? If you found this content valuable, do you guys like this content? Was this good information? Did it help you at all? Well, if you like this type of content, our YouTube channel is filled with other content like this, supportive different ways to be able to help you grow and scale your medical practice. And then number 3 is that 7 common outsourcing mistakes. I want to make sure I plug that again. Mike wrote that. It's on the website. You can get it. All of these are available for you at snapscale.com to be able to go participate and be a part of our community and our network of information and value that we're just trying to get out into the marketplace to help people with this concept of outsourcing. Okay. Now, with that said, I do have some case studies here. Apply Snapscale, whatever. It doesn't matter to me. I want you to understand this is just, we have these case studies for our organization. Okay. So we've taken the time to go work with Dr. Lisa Scherbeck from Evergreen Primary Care. I can get you a copy of the entire case study. There's no reason for you to read all or try to understand all of this case study right now, but I will point out a couple of things. Number 1, although Evergreen team was aware of offshore virtual assistant services, they had concerns about HIPAA regulations and patient privacy. Okay, that's a major concern. I'm hoping it's a major concern for you as well. Here's what Dr. Scherbeck had to say about Snapscale. In the short version of this case study, she said they're HIPAA compliant and they helped us fine train and guide our team Tess, who has become such a valuable part of the Evergreen family. Okay, so she trusted Snapscale as an organization that takes no insurance. She's utilizing Snapscale to do other things other than insurance verifications, like we talked about early on, making outbound phone calls, taking inbound phone calls, literally running her virtual front desk. Here's the second. This is kind of more of a testimonial than it is a case study. I have the case study for you if you guys want it, but this was the major part of the case study I thought that would be impactful for you. It says, Wormley, our healthcare virtual assistant, is able to work independently and rarely has to contact us with questions. This has helped us achieve our vision of providing high quality, unrushed care while growing our practice. The reason I thought that was beneficial to you guys, not just as a testimonial, but as understanding, is utilizing a healthcare virtual assistant. When you find the right person who can work independently, they can allow you to focus on unrushed care like we talked about earlier. Unrushed care leads to more referrals. It allows you to be able to know whether your patients like tea or coffee. It's that simple, guys. You need to know that information. Maybe not tea or coffee, but what's their preferences? What do they like? What's important to them? All right, here's another one. Dr. Agarwal. You see, these are all different healthcare industries as well. That's one of the reasons why I picked a lot of these different case studies to share with you guys. I have the full case studies. What you see on the screen is just partial of the case study. I have the full case studies. If you guys ever want any of those case studies, just reach out to us. All right. Initially overwhelmed by administrative tasks and facing the challenges in maintaining efficient patient care, Snapscale offered us a solution that not just met but exceeded our expectations. The HIPAA-compliant staffing support didn't only alleviate our administrative burden, but significantly improved our patient engagement and satisfaction. I've been talking about this since the beginning of this webinar, guys. Snapscale stands out not just for the compliance and security measures, but for fostering a culture of teamwork, commitment, and aligning perfectly with our practices, values, and goals. See, it all comes full circle, guys. The reason we set up our organization, the reason it works so well is all of these things. It's not just us that says that we do them. We have clients that are telling you this is exactly what we do. And that's how I was able to come up with the information to give you guys today on this webinar. Here's one last case study. I'm a big case study personally because I did use Snapscale to help augment and offset what we would call kind of call center services. If you guys are familiar with, if you've had a practice call center before, and that's even relevant to you, some of you guys that are on this, please don't tune out. For the guys that this is relevant for the ones that have big operational facilities, you need a consultant. It's not just you. Maybe you have 4 or 5 people internally that are taking inbound and making outbound phone calls, and you're trying to figure out what system do I use? How do I set up my systems for call, so that I can receive the right calls and track this in my marketing. And I also want to be able to put certain people on certain types of campaigns and blah blah blah. We can help you with this. We did the same thing with Parkchester Medical. They lacked the standardized processes that impacted compliance and care continuity. Okay, that was prior to Snapscale. Snapscale worked closely with Parkchester to restructure the call center operations by introducing standardized workflows, training outsourced agents, and developing operational guides to streamline patient communication. So what ended up happening? The impact was immediately fewer cancellations, reduced hold times, and improved patient interactions. I got the entire case study on the website. Again, I can get you guys a full case study, but this is what is important for you guys to understand and know. The things that we told you about in this webinar, it's not just what we told you that you need to do. It's what we told you our clients told us was most important. And so we wanted to make sure that you understood that. All right. And then I could go on and on. There's a number of different clinics who have provided us with positive feedback. Just this one right here, Ear, Nose, and Throat Center of Utah. Pam said, honestly, Mitch is great. She's pretty on top of things. However, there was a week or two in November, which I had no idea she was feeling ill. I did notice she was falling behind and asked her about it, but she explained and bounced right back. I'm glad Mitch is part of the team. She seems to respond to staff fairly quickly and overall doing well. I wanted to tell you, not every single person you hire is perfect. They're not perfect people. But even Pam felt compelled to write us a testimonial about how the team member bounced back and stayed on top of things after becoming sick. Okay, so there's tons of these. I could go on and on about all of the different benefits. In fact, we have got hundreds of clinics that use Snapscale. 217 clinics are supported across the United States right now by a Snapscale superstar who's helping to oversee different tasks throughout all of these different clinics. So if you decided that Snapscale was important for you, you're not alone. Hang in there. I'll show you how to get in with Snapscale. We're at 58 minutes. Just want to recap with you what we went over today. The forces reshaping healthcare, what every practice needed to prepare for. And I showed that to you guys thoroughly. I also went over hiring in healthcare. If it worked, you wouldn't be here. And I gave you some of the most up-to-date best practices and tools and resources. I know I did a little tongue-in-cheek, but I did give you some tools that you could use that, unfortunately, they're new, they're modern, they're up-to-date practices. They're just not working anymore. I did cover easy and affordable solutions that were HIPAA-compliant healthcare virtual assistants and what that means to your organization. I went over one way to use virtual assistants by plugging the leaky bucket. Do you guys remember that? I went over and showed you how to make confirmation calls, and that would plug just one gap inside your revenue bucket that's leaking. I could show you hundreds of those, not just that one, by the way. If you got on a call with me, I'd be happy to share that with you. And 7 mistakes to avoid. We went over the 7 mistakes. We didn't have time for all 7 mistakes, but we did cover two of the big ones. And so we were able to get through a lot of information. So if that's you, I appreciate you guys hanging on till the end of this webinar. Remember, this is what Snapscale does. Number one, we sign a BAA with you. That's so important and so critical from the very beginning, right? We recruit the team member, we manage their work, we track their time, we report their productivity, we accept your vision, and we provide training in HIPAA compliance for those team members, ongoing training in HIPAA compliance for those team members. Is that important to you guys? If that's important to you guys, online, go ahead and hit the like button. If you'd like to know how to set up an appointment real quick, go ahead and do that. And I'll actually bring up a QR code if anybody hits, there it is. I see one like online right now. So I'm going to go ahead and share this with you. Before I bring up the QR code for you to be able to set up an appointment with us, though, I do want to just recap. If this is important to you, please understand there's no long-term contracts with us. We have a Snap Assist program. I didn't get into this today, but it's coverage for common tasks and business continuity. If you decide that that's important to you, we have the Snap Academy, which is how we bring outside VAs who've never worked in healthcare before, and we train them from the ground up so that they're not making any of the bad habits that are built in from other organizations. We do have the ability to do that. The Snapscale 13.0 nonsense HIPAA compliance checklist. These are things that make us HIPAA compliant that are digital compliance third-party auditing company put in place. We have the staff is in our offices in the Philippines to be HIPAA compliant. We also have a remote program that I could share with you on how that all works. We're the first in the industry to do so. That's all digital compliance certified, that we are doing things the right way. We also have HIPAA compliance certification for our team member. That's that Safe Base initiative that I was talking to you about. Employee placement guarantee. There's no charge to find the replacement. If for whatever reason your person doesn't work out, you're working with Snapscale, not just that person. And so we'll help place another person. There's no charge for that. We just do it. No additional fees beyond the hourly rate and the setup. And then there's offices in India, in the Philippines, and US. And we have an outsourcing staffing expert that will work with you. Those aren't all of the benefits. Here's some of the other ones: over 22 years of experience, impressive longevity of Snapscale's management, the team, the assistants, a leadership model. They attend your company meeting. I just wanted to let you guys know you get additional benefits beyond just a person, just beyond the tracking of the hours. There's additional benefits just beyond the dashboard that you get. There's a whole organization that's here to support you, but this has been an hour. So if this has been important to you, if you're online right now and you have questions, that's great. Feel free to ask your questions online right now, and you can put them in the comments. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have if you guys want to stay around. If not, you can scan the QR code and set up your appointment for a outsourcing expert that can go through this process with you and find the holes and the leaks in your bucket and help you find out, how can I get an ROI out of this person? Or if I do utilize this, where is my organization losing revenue that it shouldn't be losing revenue? Or how can I get better continuity? Or how can I provide better patient care? All those questions can be asked by an outsourcing expert if you just scan that QR code or go to snapscale.com/start. You can do that right now. Go ahead and, guys online, again, submit your questions if you have them. I'm happy to answer any of those questions. I got 2 more case studies to share with anybody that hangs on past this point, but I'm happy to go ahead and answer any questions that come in.
Yep.
Well, those questions are coming in. Like, I had a question for you. Why did you start Snapscale?
That's the one question you picked. Why did I start? All right. So no, but I will be I started Snapscale because I've always been in the small business service arena. And when I had my when I had a hosting company back in 2000, I needed to go 24/7. And I don't know if I didn't want to hire anybody anymore, or I couldn't find anybody or whatever. But a small company called GoDaddy came around and they were offering 24/7. So I needed to. And a friend of mine said, hey, if you outsource to India, like, you can definitely get the staff that you need at a fraction of the cost. But remember, you have to give them specific instructions, because if you give them specific instructions, it will be a fantastic thing for your company. You will go 24/7 for a fraction of the cost. If you let them figure it out themselves, you might as well close the door. So I did just that. I'm not going to bore anybody with the whole story, but I was able to turn a company that was 9 to 5 tech support, made 24/7 for a fraction of the cost. And the next week I was in a magazine with Bob Parsons talking about our competing companies. I did not compete with GoDaddy, but perception is reality. But what I did learn is that you could level up and get the support you need by harnessing the outsourced staffing. And really, that was before Slack and Skype and all that cool stuff that we have now. So that is exactly why I did it. Because when I sold the business in 2008, I realized that there was something here for the rest of for America to be able to augment their staff with an outsourced solution. And that's why I did it, because my passion is in the small to medium-sized business. And it was just a logical progression from my own company. And if I could bring that to the rest of the companies and make a difference there too, it's what I want to do. And any entrepreneur that's out there knows that you need to have passion to make anything work. And this is my passion, and it's been continuing to be though for not too long. I'm not even going to get into it, but yeah. I got a lot of stuff in the basement, as Rocky Balboa says. So I am rocking and rolling for a long time doing what we're doing here.
That's great, Mike. I see online there's a comment that came in that this person used to own 3 weight loss clinics and employee retention was a big issue. He said he got PTSD when I mentioned the phones are still ringing regardless of whether the person's there. Retention, though, it's a good question. What does retention look like at Snapscale? How can somebody be sure that by hiring Snapscale, they're going to get that business continuity?
You can't be sure about anything except death and taxes, right? I'm just saying that. But yeah, it's almost April 15th. So I me to say that. It's just about what I said before. Is that about treating the people as you would want to be treated, providing them with the great benefits, listening to them, spending time in, for lack of a better term, HR. We spend a lot of time and money in HR to make sure that people are heard, we have what we need, and we're providing them with what they're looking for. Now, there's a slippery slope between providing the staff with what they need and being taken advantage of, and we do that really well. So because of the fact that we provide all the niceties and we treat people special, and we make them feel like client service people, because they are, that feel like, and not just telemarketing reps. And we do communicate in the town halls, right, where we share with them our successes. They feel like they're a valued member of a team that's going somewhere and not just a lowly, as they call them, rank and file in other call centers. So that is really it, Nathan. I mean, that is what, and that has nothing to do with outsourcing, guys. You do that in your own company. Like I said before, a lot of people forget about the core of the human being, right? That they want to feel like they're valuable, right? They want to feel like they're part of something special. I know that's how I was. And money is important, but if you take the money, the benefits, and the feeling like you're participating in something great, why would someone leave? So
Mike, you went mute for a second.
Oh, there you go. They want to go. Either people leave for myriad of reasons, right? They want to go out of the country, right, Nathan? People leave. They want to go to a different country. They want to go back to school. That happens every once in a while. But I'm happy to say that we don't lose people due to them being disgruntled most of the time. Remember, we're all humans, but we really spend a lot of time in that, and that's the answer. And that's whether you're in California or you're in the Davao, Philippines. Treat your people like you want to be treated, and for the most part, they'll stick around and take care of you.
Another question that looks like it came in, Mike, and then we'll wrap up here, is do you guys offer part-time workers, or is it just full-time? How's that work?
So at the current stage, we only offer full-time for the healthcare VA due to privacy, due to the HIPAA compliance. So again, like I say, we can't chop somebody in half, but the minimum is 1. The only time that we have ever done like a part-time worker is if it's in something that is in a task-based that we can kind of silo. So like if they're just doing verification of benefits and we can make them with something else that doesn't cross bleed, then we do, because that was approved by our compliance company. But for the most part, we don't, because we don't think that it's worth it from my liability as well as to our client's liability to potentially see other patients' information from one screen to another. So that we don't do that.
Yeah. And anybody that does, again, I gave you some bewares today. Okay. So let's finish up with a couple of other quick case studies that I just want to share with everybody. Number one, here, Dr. Choi. Dr. Choi was a startup organization trying to figure it out. He went through a number of different people, couldn't find reliable staff, opened during COVID. It's the story. Here's the important part, though. It says here, the results, 250% more appointments. Time to focus on practice growth since Angelo started as a healthcare virtual assistant in Troy Ophthalmology. The number of patient appointments has increased from 20 per week to nearly 50 per week. That's almost 250%. So if you want the full case study, I can provide it for you guys, but these are the two most important parts. They've become a partner in our growth, helping us to fully integrate their services to improve how we operate, which allows us to improve patient care. It's a standard theme. Caring about your patients is what Snapscale's team does for you. They allow you to help you do that yourself as well. And then lastly, Carl Kovac. Carl Kovac is interesting, and the reason I have this as a case study is if this is important to you at all, and technology is something that's important to you, maybe you're thinking, how could I do this without having a front staff member actually sit at a desk? Well, Carl Kovac uses a program it's powered by Virtual Sally. I'll let Mike talk a little bit about it, but essentially it's a kiosk, and it sits in the office, and his virtual assistant interacts with patients through the virtual kiosk. Mm-hmm. Mike, talk a little bit about Virtual Sally technology and the way things are going right now.
Yeah, it's just the next level. Like, we're always trying to find different ways to make that virtual experience more in line with what the humans can interact with. And yeah, Virtual Sally is our partner in that. They do an amazing job with providing, like you said, a kiosk. So when you walk into a clinic, right, you have a computer, you have a, keyboard and everything. And one of the reps is out there saying, good morning, Nathan. What do you come to see? And here's the paperwork. And it's all that next level of being able to interact face to face to get people to fill out their paperwork, to pay their co-pays. And it's just like, as we're getting closer and closer to that, to be able to provide that patient interaction that's not in the office, but in the office, right? It's the next level of just being on the phone. And it's a fantastic program. And we've been with them. We partnered with them, almost 2.5 years ago, because I'm always looking at different ways to provide our clients with a little bit better way to touch their patients. And it's been fantastic. It's a cost-effective solution to really get that next level of patient interaction. And I know we have other webinars where we talk specifically about Virtual Sally and their next level use case. But we have a great support with that.
Yeah, Carl had to say, after experiencing labor shortages post-pandemic, it was clear that he needed a sustainable solution for his front desk operations at Rose City Physical Therapy. Our virtual assistant, their virtual assistant's Jiwa. That's his name. It's a real person. It's not just like a piece of technology. There's the technology platform, and the person behind it is Jiwa, who powers it. All right. And Jiwa has not only become a seamless extension of their team, but also a favorite among the patients. Jiwa, what's really interesting, I did a whole webinar with Carl Kovac, and he talked about how even Jiwa got dressed up during Halloween, and when the patients came in, they could see him in his Halloween costume, and that made all of the patients feel really engaged that he was also a part of the office there as well. So the literal virtual receptionist. Okay, that's how it works. Snapscale didn't just provide a solution; they transformed how we operate, making it possible to continue delivering high quality care without compromising on our values or patient experience. So that's what Carl Kovac had to say, even utilizing a virtual assistant and powering that virtual assistant up with a piece of technology to have a completely virtual front office. So you can do that. You can have people all the way from one task guys all the way through having a virtual receptionist. We can help you with that process. And how do you do that? You just go to snapscale.com/start, or you scan that QR code. That's the way you do it. That's the way you get set up. We'll have a conversation. Once we have the conversation, then you'll know what's best for your practice. This is a lot of different information, but how do I apply this to your practice specifically? That's where you got to meet with somebody. just have a conversation. It's only a conversation to say, okay, here, how does this apply to my practice? What areas of my business am I leaking? How can I provide better patient care? What tasks am I doing that I shouldn't be doing? And I'll start by this. I'll start that conversation by finishing with this for my comments. And that is, what's one task that you wish you never had to do again? You're a small practice. You're thinking about this virtual receptionist for the first time. What's one task you wish you never had to do again? Put that in the comments. Let's finish up with you putting that in the comments. The one task you wish you never had to do again. You wish somebody else was just doing your job for you.
Answering the phones. Yeah, that's true.
Answering the phones. Yeah. If I have to do one more of these patient intakes, I'm going to freak out.
Yeah. Insurance verification.
Yeah.
Well, at the end of the day, like I'm going to sum it up by saying that, you know, these tools are made for every clinic, and you know, you just have to, at the end of the day, you have to be strategic in what you're doing with training. You got to be strategic in who you bring into your practice, right? But you also have to spend a lot of time making sure that they feel valued, because if they do, they're going to stick around. I know it seems basic. I said it before. I'm going to say it again. And also the other thing that's important is whether you talk to us or you talk to us and other people, right? Just make sure you talk, like they say in basketball. Keep talking, because this is a huge piece. Like if you're looking to outsource some of your business, you got to be buttoned up and you got to be able to be ready to outsource. And you need a company, like a managed company, like a Snapscale, or there's others that can help you get remote ready, for lack of a better term, right? So this isn't something you hop on tomorrow. There's something you have a conversation, start thinking about, and then find the right partner that can help. Because once you do get into a situation with a company like this, they become really they should become part of your clinic, and they should become part of your everyday, and they should have a vested interest in you succeeding. So that's the only thing, Nathan, I could say is just keep talking, talk to people, listen, research, and make the right decision for your clinic. And it may not be today, it may be tomorrow, but do your research, get ready, because if the foundation is strong, outsourcing is awesome.
Got to have a strong foundation. You need to know how to measure the results. You need to work with a reliable provider of HIPAA-compliant healthcare virtual assistants. You can do all of that stuff at Snapscale. Just scan that QR code, guys. It's been good. We've been an hour and 16 minutes now. I hope if you hung in here all the way till the end, just let me know. I'll send you over some free goodies and some additional value. I appreciate it so much. Thanks, guys, for participating on this month's webinar. Look for the next one. I've got a orthodontist that's going to be showing you how she scaled to 2 clinics, and she did it without increasing her overhead. I'm going to show you how she did that on the next webinar. All right, guys, take care.